Sometimes things are just as simple as you'd hope they'd be, and that's going to be the case with this hands-on lab in which we are going to install XenServer. Now, I really just cannot stress enough that the Citrix Hypervisor of XenServer is not mandatory. We could use Hyper-V by Microsoft, managed by System Center Virtual Machine Manager. We could use ESXi by VMware, managed by vCenter Server. However, it wouldn't be surprising at all for our manager to tell us, no, we want to separate out the VDI infrastructure, the desktop virtualization infrastructure, onto a different hypervisor platform. So here we are, looking at installing XenServer by Citrix, which we'll be managing using vCenter. So in our hands-on lab environment, we're going to jump to a blank template environment, essentially a bare metal install. We'll get that DVD for the installation of XenServer mounted, booted, and then run through the installation question. As we run through it, really the only thing that we would want to prepare for ahead of time is if we need drivers, or more drivers. Specifically thinking about things like, do I have the correct drivers to be able to detect the network interfaces that are a part of that hardware? Or do I have the appropriate drivers to support the storage to be able to find the local disks in order to perform the install and create partitions that will be used to host the virtual machines? If I don't have those drivers ready ahead of time, then I can have some problems. Let's jump in and get this thing installed. All right, let's get a hypervisor in place so that when we need some VDI, we've got a place to put it. Over on the right-hand side, notice in the lab environment, we've got XenServer selected and the XenServer 7.5 ISO already loaded in the DVD drive. We'll click Start and boot this thing up. Let's just press Enter to continue. We'll make sure to click right here in the main window, and then we can interact with the environment. We'll press Enter to select the QWERTY keyboard United States. Then we'll press Enter to select OK to start the installation. We don't need to add any network drivers or storage drivers. We'll right arrow and accept the EULA, and then press Enter to continue. We're ready to select a disk for virtual machine storage, and this is easy because there's only one, the 160 gig drive. Let's tab and press space to enable thin provisioning, which is a much better solution for XenDesktop. Then tab again and press spacebar. We're using a local media installation, so tab and then press spacebar. I personally tested this media to make sure it works, so just up arrow to skip the verification in this case, tab and press space to begin the installation immediately. We'll need to put in our lab password. You can either type it in or over in the right-hand side in the lab console, you can click the little password link to type the text for you. Then tab to get down to the confirm window and then click to paste again. Tab one more time and then spacebar to click OK. We have two networking interfaces. Ethernet 0 is the one that we want to support management connections. That's going to be on the 192.168.1.0 network. So we'll tab and press space to choose that default Ethernet adapter. We have a very specific IP address we're going to use in this case, so let's down arrow and spacebar to choose static configuration. Then we'll tab over to the IP address and enter in the IP address of 192.168.1.105. Then we'll press tab and go down to subnet mask and enter in 255.255.255.0. Tab again, and our default gateway is 192.168.1.1. Then tab down again and tab again to OK. Press spacebar and we're good. The host name is going to be XenServer-nug. Then tab down to the DNS server and we'll put in the IP address of 192.168.1.100. Tab, tab, tab again, spacebar to OK. Geographical area, down arrow once to America, tab, and then space for OK. The place that's closest to me that's in this list is Los Angeles, so I'll type in L and down arrow twice to Los Angeles, tab, and OK. Accurate time is always a good thing, so we'll use NTP, tab down to OK and press spacebar. And then we'll enter in the IP address of 192.168.1.100, which is our domain controller, which can also support NTP. Tab down to OK and then spacebar. Left arrow to choose Install XenServer and spacebar. And we begin the installation. All right, the initial installation is complete. Let's go ahead and press spacebar. We are not going to install any supplemental packs. And it can finish the installation. Great, our installation is done. Let's go to the right-hand side. From the drop-down menu in the DVD drive, we'll choose No Media for XenServer, and then click back in the main window, and we'll press spacebar. If you seem to lose connectivity with your XenServer installation, you're pressing spacebar or enter and nothing seems to happen, click in the upper right-hand corner where it says Display, has a little icon for that. Go down and choose Refresh Display. You may find that it did press spacebar or enter, but it just wasn't showing it to you yet. And now looking at the local console, we can see that the installation is complete and we've now rebooted back to a functioning working system. I'm going to press a space bar to access this console. And let me just point out some of the features of what we see here. So we can identify again our network status over there. Great to see exactly which version we're using, which adapter we're using, and the current IP settings. And then from here, we do actually have a fair amount of local access to manage our hypervisor system. So we can change the network properties. We can change the authentication method. We can do things like start and stop virtual machines as necessary. We can connect to our disks and storage, manage resource pools for memory and CPU utilization, change our hardware and BIOS, update the keyboard, remote service configuration, performing backups to be able to rebuild this environment quickly, tech support links, reboot or shut down from here, and the local command shell. So again, a lot of great tools right here at the initial console. That's enough for now. We've got the XenServer installed. We have a platform now on which to build our virtual machines. If this was set up right, we would very rarely need to come back to this XenServer console to do any future configurations. We're going to follow up this hands-on lab by installing XenCenter, the front end for being able to connect to the XenServer. But meanwhile, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.